been working for an organization, left there and went to another. And we struggled a lot, but we were building something big. It was fantastic. It was a good feeling. I never felt the pressure of that. I was putting the pressure more on myself than anything. Towards the end, it was extremely stressful. I would start sometimes at 2:30 in the morning, but more than likely it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I needed that quiet time without the phones ringing, without meetings. And then about 7 o'clock, it would start with events, programming, things that we had going on, meetings. That would go literally until sometimes 7 o'clock at night, later if we had a bigger event. And I was ignoring home life, to be honest. It was just always work. It was always, what can I do? I didn't want to let anybody down. I felt that I had to do it all. There was nothing to de-stress for me. It was like a cycle, that hamster wheel. You get up, you do it all over again, and that's what I did. Well, on the day of the event, it was May 30th, 2024, I woke up like normal. I was doing my work. I started very early, so I started about 2:30, 3 o'clock that morning. I wasn't feeling very good, but it wasn't until my husband woke up and saw me kind of clutching my chest and saying, okay, this is enough. You've been feeling this way for about a week. It's time we go to the doctor. He had gone outside to shut off his car, and he just heard a thud, and he came inside, and I had fallen down in our dining area, and he started CPR, and
Before I even got to the truck, I heard a loud thud in the house. Grabbed my phone real quick and ran back into the house, and I could see from the initial entry into the house just her legs on the floor. Tried to get a pulse from her neck, could not get a pulse, looked for a rise and fall in her chest to see if she was breathing. Thumped around the chest pretty hard and started CPR. Pulled my cell phone out and tried to dial the emergency number. The initial 3 attempts didn't go through, and I knew a non-emergency number through police dispatch from my prior employment there, so I called that number and got through to a dispatcher who sent medics. During that whole time, most of that, I'm doing one-handed CPR while I'm trying to dial my phone and get assistance. Once I knew that medics were rolling, tried to get her pulse the second time. I remember yelling at her about coming back, not leaving. You got more work to do. You're not leaving me. You're not leaving our dogs. You're not leaving your son. It was never supposed to be her. I'm older than my wife, and I always figured it would be the other way around. So it never occurred to me that at some point in time I'd be doing CPR on a family member, let alone my wife. My greatest fear is failure to do a good job on my wife would have a catastrophic outcome. Failure was not an option. You can't fail. I tell people all the time, if you don't know CPR, learn it. Even if you do it poorly, you're doing something. You got to try.
When I woke up, I just remember looking around, and there was a few family members there. There was a few doctors. So I always thought that's when I woke up. And I wasn't. I was moving around and doing things. I say that simply because I really didn't understand what happened to me for a long time. I would walk, I would do all of these things. They said that I was leaning towards my right side more than my left, of course. So there was a lot of that physical therapy that they were doing within the hospital. Then they moved me to rehab.
I had the hope all the way through. After the first, probably, I'll say 12 hours, it wasn't an issue of if she was going to survive. It was at what capacity she would survive, how functional she might be going forward. She was probably unconscious for, I'll say 6 days, 5.5 to 6 days where she was unconscious. So those first several days, they would take her out of levels of sedation and try to get her to respond to stimulus. And as the one doctor said, we're not going to fix this if this isn't working. Probably around the Third day, she responded to some stimulus to where she squeezed somebody's finger and moved her toes. So at that point, the medical staff started addressing the issues with the heart. She really doesn't remember much until about somewhere around maybe the 10th day.
Once I was in rehab, that moved fairly quickly. I was there for about 5 days. They thought I was going to be there for weeks. But at that point, it's almost like I was flooded. Memories were coming back, except for those 10 days. I still, to this day, don't remember. But all of that went fairly quickly, and they released me after 5 days. Once I was released to go home, I had to do close to 2 months of occupational therapy, and then over 2 months of speech and cognition therapy. And then I did 4 months of physical therapy, the cardiophysical therapy. It was interesting because there was one of my doctors said, don't get stuck on the numbers. It's not that, don't get stuck on that low EF rate, because there's people with low EF rates that are just, they're not able to move at all. And then there's others that are out running marathons. And so that made a huge difference for me. But it took a long time to get past that, because when you hear those words, heart failure, you think that your life is over. It was just that realization that, we were coming upon the holidays, and it's always been a big time for my family. And we were, 6 months out from my son's graduation. He was finally going to be home. And I just realized that, again, this isn't the end for me. And though it may look different, I pushed forward. I realized that my life was probably never going to be the same. And there was a bit of that feel sorry that I'm not going to be able to go out there and work 16-hour days. But we shouldn't be working 16-hour days. But it took a long time for me to get over the fact that what happened to me needed to happen for me to be alive today.
Yeah, what am I most grateful for? I am grateful that by the grace of God and medical personnel and technology that saved my wife.
I'll never get into a situation where I'm working that much. The stress of it is just too much. I mean, that lesson learned, that stress can kill us, literally. And I just never really thought about that. You think you're invincible, and lessons learned. My name is Trish Flaherty-Barnes, and I'm a survivor.